Castles have a certain magic that draws in modern travelers, evoking legends, lore, and full-fledged fantasy. The soaring structures and lush gardens of royal residences transport us back to the world of our childhood bedtime stories. Despite the fact that the Middle Ages were also known as the Dark Ages, a period associated with an overall decline following the fall of the Roman Empire, certain beautiful relics such as medieval castles have survived the centuries. Welcome to Planet Lux, and in this video we'll take a look at the most beautiful castles in the world as of 2022. Curious to know? Let's find out. Number 8. Chapultepec Castle, Mexico. The Chapultepec Castle in Mexico City is the only castle in North America that has ever housed actual sovereigns. In 1785, Viceroy Bernardo de Galvez ordered the construction of the fortress to house the commander-in-chief of the Spanish colony of New Spain. The regal structure was repurposed as a military academy years after the Mexican War of Independence and later became the site of the Battle of Chapultepec during the Mexican-American War in 1847. It would eventually serve as an official royal residence for Emperor Maximilian I and his wife, Empress Carlota. Maximilian contributed to the current floor plan and neoclassical style of the castle, but his reign was cut short in 1867 when President Benito Juarez reclaimed power. The castle now houses the National Museum of History, which teaches residents about the country's cultures and history. Number 7. Qaitbay Fort in Alexandria, Egypt. After Sultan al-Ashraf Qaitbay learned of Ottoman troops approaching Alexandria, he began construction on this austere fortress on the Mediterranean Sea in 1477. The plans for the castle were clearly laid out on the ruins of the demolished Pharaoh's lighthouse, where workers could salvage pieces of the previous structure to build red granite columns in the mosque and entrance. The Ottoman Empire eventually captured Egypt, but the citadel continued to serve as a military fort until the British bombardment of 1882. The imposing and stunning structure was abandoned on the harbor until the 20th century, when the Egyptian Supreme Court of Antiquities intervened to restore it to its former glory. Since the 1952 revolution, the citadel has served as a maritime museum detailing Egyptian naval victories and losses. Number 6. Matsumoto Castle, Japan. Matsumoto Castle dates back to 1504, when the Ogasawara clan began construction on a fort to defend against invaders. The military fortification was captured only a few years after it was completed by the powerful warlord Takeda Shingen. As ownership of the castle changed over time, its design evolved into a tall three-towered structure with inky black walls and roofs, earning it the nickname Crow Castle. Around 1872, the castle was on the verge of being demolished because developers wanted to build newer buildings and housing complexes on the site. However, Matsumoto residents launched a campaign to save the building, and the city government eventually purchased it. Today, Matsumoto Castle has been designated as a national treasure of Japan and one of the last remaining examples of daimyo castle. Number 5. Bonita Castle, Slovakia. According to written records discovered at Zobor Abbey, this Romanesque castle may have begun as a wooden fort as early as 1113. Stone gradually replaced wood, and by the 16th century, the Gothic castle had Renaissance elements. While King Matthias Corvinus of Hungary was not the first owner of the castle, he was one of the first to invest in its future. The ruler would frequently visit the small city to work on his decree and dictate them under the linden tree that now bears his name. Construction appears to have never stopped, as owner after owner continued to renovate the exteriors or add rooms until the castle eventually fell into the hands of Count Jan Palffy. The aristocrat was inspired by the romantic castles of France's Loire Valley and wanted to build his own fairy tale castle filled with his impeccable collection of antiques, tapestries, and artwork. Bonita Castle, with its enchanting appearance, has become one of the most visited castles in Central Europe, with thousands of visitors exploring its hallowed halls each year. By the way, if you're watching us for the first time, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can enjoy our future videos while getting updated. Getting back to the topic. Number 4. FazilGabby in Gondar, Ethiopia. Emperor Fasilides oversaw the construction of the imposing fortress city in 1636, after breaking with tradition and establishing Gondar as the new capital city. Previously, Ethiopian emperors would travel through the country's territories, eating local food and sleeping in tents. FazilGabby has been a symbol of change in Ethiopia since its inception. The castle complex, located on a high plateau, included living quarters for the royal family as well as gardens, temples, libraries, and even a swimming pool. Each ruler after Fasilides expanded the medieval-style fortress. But it was Fasilides' grandson, Emperor Yasu the Great, who filled the palace with the ivory structures and gem-encrusted ceilings that are frequently mentioned in archival documents. An earthquake and foreign troop attacks caused extensive damage to FazilGabby over the centuries. The castle complex fell into disrepair for many years after being damaged by British air raids during the World War II and conflicts with Somalia and Sudan. It was eventually added to the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1979 and was restored to its current prominence. Number 3. Chateau de Chenonceau, France. Chateau de Chenonceau appears to float elegantly over the reflective Cher River, surrounded by manicured formal gardens. The castle's original structure dates from the 11th century, but it was Diane de Poitiers, Henri II's mistress, who commissioned Philibert de Lorme to build the castle's signature feature, the arched bridge, in the 16th century. Caterina de' Medici, from one powerful woman to another, made Chenonceau her favorite residence after the king's death in 1559. The French queen never failed to dazzle guests within the castle walls with her grand gallery and impeccable hosting skills. It is even believed that the first ever fireworks display in France was held on the grounds to commemorate her son Francis II's ascension to the throne. The chateau was severely damaged during the World War II, when German troops occupied it and the Allies bombed its chapel. The Meunier family commissioned architect Bernard Voisin to restore the gardens and structure to their former glory in 1951. Number 2. Nakhl Fort, Oman. At first glance, the magnificent fortress atop Oman's Al Batina plain may appear to have an irregular shape. Nakhl Fort's original structure, which predates the Islamic era, was built around a large boulder at the foot of Mount Nakhl, giving it an imperfect appearance. The fort was built to protect nearby trade routes from looters and attacks, and it eventually grew to include a mosque, residential areas, and reception halls. The other additions, such as hidden nooks where soldiers would dump hot date juice on invaders, should not be overlooked. The fort is mostly used as a museum with historic artifacts, but if you go on a Friday, you'll be greeted by friendly goats at the weekly market held within its walls. Number 1. Red Fort in Delhi, India. After relocating the empire's capital from Agra to the newly built city of Delhi, Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan laid the foundation for the Red Fort, or Lal Killa. Behind the modest red sandstone facade was an intricate web of inlaid paneled halls and chambers that blended traditional Mughal design with elements of Persian, Timurid, and Hindu design. The Red Fort remained the Mughal Empire's official seat until the Indian Rebellion of 1857, when countless precious gems housed within its walls were stolen and Bahadur Shah II was deposed. It would, however, play an important role in India's independence from British rule, as it was the site where Jawaharlal Nehru, the country's first prime minister, would deliver his Tryst with Destiny speech. Every year, on India's Independence Day, the current Prime Minister delivers a speech from the Red Fort's ramparts emphasizing the fort's national significance. These were some of the most beautiful castles in the world, and these royal residences around the world play an important role in telling the rich history of a place, its people, and its craft. And with that being said, it's time to end our video. Which of these castles would you like to visit in 2022? Let us know in the comments. Like this video and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more amazing videos like this. We'll see you in the next video.